Good morning and welcome to another episode of AIGTM Talks. Today is episode 9. Um, really pleased to invite, and he's here with us, Jonathan Moss. Jonathan, how are you today?
Living my best life, Mani. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. So let me, Jonathan, I'll just kick it off by just giving some context to the what we're doing here and why, and then talk a little bit about us, and then obviously the rest of the show is going to be all about you, and hopefully a lot of the insights you're going to bring to us today. Um, so first up, folks, the AI GTM Talk series, the kind of the motivation for us here is we felt that there's a lot of confusion in the market around AI and go to market and how AI is transforming go to market. We felt a lot of the buyers. Perhaps a little hesitant to make their decisions, make investments. So we figured, hey, why not try to cut through the noise and help people in a real way? So we've been bringing on two types of guests to these episodes. One is really awesome AI GTM tech founders. So they come in, do a deep dive, 45 minutes into their tech, where it fits, how to use it, what the value. And of course, then we have revenue leaders who are investing in these tech components, really transforming their orgs around using AI for go-to-market. And Jonathan, believe it or not, you are our first revenue leader guest. So we're really looking forward to you kind of setting the tone and, really helping us, help other future guests in the revenue leader side, share their wisdom, share their insights, with everybody. So that's the show. That's what it's about. And then next up, let me just put up, quickly do 30 seconds on us, no more. And that's Kwanzu. Here we are, what we do. So we actually bring together, unify buying signals, person level, company level, and we really help automate the outbound process for companies. We do that by doing it natively in our platform. We plug into other technologies and tools like Clay, and then we have a lot of the AI stuff happening within Clay for figuring out the right sequence of messages, doing the right kind of AI in those messages, and then we push it out to all the typical sales engagement platforms, the ISDR tools, and so on. So we're trying to focus on, we call it signal-based prospecting, signal-based selling. And because we believe that's the area where people really struggle, is how to make sense of all the signals and how to prioritize and use them and action them. So that's us in a nutshell. But then, Jonathan, why don't we kick it off? And I'm going to put up my next slide here. And if you wouldn't mind, just tell us a little bit about yourself and and your company, what you all do.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Jonathan Moss. So I'm the Executive Vice President of Growth and Go-to-Market Operations at a company called AIxGTM. AIxGTM is in health tech. So we have multiple SaaS and service products. So everything from, an EMR PM to run urgent cares, to doing the billing, patient engagement, teleradiology, and kind of a cloud PACS, which is really a software for radiologists. So we are in health tech. So that's my main thing. And then I also am a co-founder of a AI business network, which is we're building kind of a hub for all your AI and business needs, whether it's research, frameworks, playbooks, education, training, podcasts, newsletters, live events, community, tool directories, all those good things. So to your point, the reason you're having this, there's a lot of confusion in the marketplace. People don't know where to start sometimes, or maybe they've started and they don't know how to continue on and what to do. And so the AI Business Network is there to kind of help people along their journey. So that's what I do in a nutshell.
Yeah, and Jonathan, you also, of course, are one of the co-leads of a very wonderful channel on Pavilion that I know we're both a part of, right? Which is 5,000 plus revenue leaders, marketers. They come together. One of the channels is focused on AI for GTM there. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So Pavilion. So yes, I'm the co-chair there, and we have many great discussions in that channel. It's kind of been amazing to see that channel grow so significantly last year and continue to grow. I think it basically 10x'd its audience last year. And there's just so many good things that people are sharing and we're sharing. And, it's just amazing to kind of, again, have a community of people that are testing and trying these things out and be able to learn together. I think it's been amazing. So.
Right. So I know you touched upon this, but maybe if you can just start with maybe a little bit of a deeper understanding of your business, because I know it'll relate to a lot of the use cases you're going to get into. So you mentioned health tech, Just if you can dive a little deeper into the target audiences and segments and buying personas, buying groups, and what is the offering that you're providing to
Yeah,
them?
absolutely. So basically, we are vertical SaaS services. So think of it that way. Our target market is really around urgent care clinics.
Mhm.
So there's, so all around, kind of that on-demand medicine that, you may need. And basically the personas with our different SaaS products and services that we have, we kind of have four main ones. The first one is CFOs, because what they care about is improving their collection rates, optimizing their cost structure through operations, and really kind of expanding their margins. So our kind of suite of products allows them to operate their clinics better, reduce their denial rates or increase their collection rates for billing and all those types of things from payers. Another one is COOs. And that can be a COO, VP of ops, or whoever's running ops for the organization, depending upon the size of the company. And so again, for them, it's all about efficiency, throughput, operational performance, to really kind of help ensure that one, they're able to get patients through the door in an efficient manner, because no one wants to wait around, right? You don't want to go spend all of your time sitting around in a doctor's office, things like that, but also ensuring that patient quality care and experience is not impacted by that, right? So it's the balance. And so the other kind of persona is clinical staff. So think of your nurse practitioners or your front desk or your medical assistants, so anyone else who would be in the clinic. And then with our patient engagement platform, it's really about marketing. So how do you get patient acquisition, retention, NPS, follow-up visits, all of those types of things. So those are really kind of our four personas. We do, in the segment side, we do have a lot of enterprise customers. In fact, we have about 60% of the enterprise customers in the space. But we also service small to medium business as well. So if you're just kind of your own entrepreneur, founder, or there are some urgent cares that have franchises, they're single or couple door operators. We have, again, a platform that helps them too. So the segment is from small all the way to the largest operators in the market.
That's awesome. And I'm just curious, like, how do you break it up? For you, what is SMB versus mid-market versus enterprise for you, and from a revenue standpoint or employee size?
So from the way we look at it today is really by the amount of clinics that they have. And so we kind of break it up that way, because what we see is the way different levels of operation. So when you're like 1 to 4 to 5 clinics, you typically have the provider who's actually in the clinic themselves is usually also the business owner and operator a lot of times, because they don't have a lot of infrastructure. Usually it's in the same city. When you start getting into like the 6 to 20, 29-ish space, it's kind of like you're more mid-market. You're starting to establish some regional operations or some operations that sits outside of the clinics themselves. And then kind of our enterprise are 30 plus clinics. And so, revenues are anything from, a few $1 million a year all the way to, hundreds of millions of dollars a year. So
Got it. All right. So we're all about AIxGTM Talks. So I think it's time to get into some of the AI stuff.
Let's do it.
Yeah, how are you all using AI today, for your GTM efforts, and where is it starting to make an impact?
Yeah. So we use AI in a lot of different places. So everything from strategy and planning. So we build all of our go-to-market strategy plans, our ICPs, TAM analysis, looking at our head count, our sales model, all those types of things. We actually leverage AI to help us with that. We also leverage it with research and analysis. So think about company and persona insights, marketing trends, competitor analysis. What are they doing? What campaigns are they running? Promotions, all those types of things. We do a lot with data analysis. So what is the health of our go-to-market motions, the channels that we're in, our team all the way down to the rep. And so the kind of data sources we use, things like our finance data, our CRM data, customer data, so both a quantitative and qualitative. Campaign and content creation, account planning and conversational roadmaps for our enterprise group, because obviously you've got your buyer, you got buyer groups, a bunch of decision makers, they're all over the place. So how can we build those? We do documentation and SOPs. So I always tell the teams there's no excuse anymore to not have documentation, because you can have AI basically do 80 to 90% of the work for you. So no more no documentation is not an excuse anymore. We have it look at contracts. We fill out procurement forms with it, performance planning, process flow mapping. We're also now working on how to use two things we have in motion right now that are a little bit more sophisticated. We're working to build out AI agents for onboarding. So our onboarding process with multiple products and services is very manual. And there's a lot of information and data transfer and things that have to happen back and forth. And right now it's very human led and it's very just manual, repetitive things. And so we're in the middle of actually enhancing that. The other thing is we're actually going to be implementing an AI agent around inbound qualification. So we do get a lot of inbound specifically for our teleradiology and our EMR. And so using an agent where you can actually talk to it, it can show you slides, it can help answer technical questions for you. It can schedule and get someone on the phone immediately or schedule a meeting, all those types of things. So I would say we use it in a lot of different places today. Some that are kind of, you would think like it's part of your sales process, but there's a lot of things we use it for that aren't just part of the sales process that really help us in a lot of different ways.
Got it. And are you finding that you're finding off-the-shelf technology and tools you're able to put to use to build some of these processes and things out? Or are you finding that you have to cook up your own, build your own, like your team is actually building some of the AI stuff and you are too?
Yeah. So it's a mix. So the way I look at it and what we tell the team is, the first thing you want to do is understand what is the outcome that you want AI to own. Like what outcome do we think is the best place? And what ends up happening a lot of times is, most companies, they have operational or what I would call context debt. That's the data side, or operational debt. You've got bad processes or legacy systems. And so what we think about is, what is the outcome we want to own? Are we ready for that? So do we have the data and processes and all the things, in place, and where are the biggest friction points? And then ultimately what we then do is say, okay, so when we map all that out and understand, where do we think AI would have the most benefit or the most impact? Once we understand that, then we say, okay, what is the right tool? Is it something that I can just use a ChatGPT for, Gemini for, something that's off the shelf? Is it something that I can use an agent builder or workflow builder, things like, a Zapier or things like a Gumloop or things like that. We are also an AWS customer. We are building agents on Bedrock. So they have some pretty good tools to build agents there. So then we kind of look at it from that perspective. Is it something that I can build? If it's yes, then the question becomes, does it make sense for me to build it? Because then I have to maintain it. I have to have someone, what is the cost, right? The full cost to own. And then we make a decision, say, okay, yes, it does. And then we'll go build it, or no, it doesn't. And then we'll go look for a tool off the shelf that will help us. So it's really kind of a mix of both, but that's kind of the process, if you will, that we go to ensure that we're thinking about it the right way.
Right. I think, Jonathan, the next thing that'll be really cool is, if I think you are up for it, right? Maybe if we can do like more of a show and tell around, pick some of your most interesting use cases, examples. It may give the audience a real feel for, okay, how does all this thing come, really?
Yeah, sure.
Get real. So maybe
how do we make it real? Yeah. So I think the best way to do this, let me share my screen, is I've got a few things I can share, but let's walk through the kind of a workflow, if you will. And this is actually a workflow. Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yep.
Oh, okay. It's on the screen. Okay, perfect. Okay. So this is a real, I told you earlier that we have a cloud-based PACS product. So for those, basically just simply, PACS is a software that teleradiologists use. Okay, we are a PE-backed company. So what happened is we acquired this software. We were the largest customer. And so from a PE standpoint, it made more sense for us to actually acquire the software than it did to, keep paying someone else. However, what we didn't do is, it was a single-digit million ARR business. But we didn't do anything with it. We didn't commercialize it. We didn't go to market. So one of the things that I came in, I said, hey, we have this asset and we're not doing anything with it. So let me go through and figure out, is there a market to capture and how would we do that? So I'm going to show you how I went through that just with really ChatGPT, and then I'm going to show you some other things we have a chance. So if you look at this, basically what I asked ChatGPT to do, and I did this with deep research. So for those that know or that have ChatGPT or whatever, you can do this with deep research. And ultimately, I said, hey, do a TAM analysis. I want to understand the industry, the ICP, et cetera. And then what it does is it actually gives me like a full report that you typically would probably pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for to a consultant, or you would have to, like a Big Four or something like that, or it would be something that you would have to put a bunch of people on to do. So give me the market size. So here's the total addressable market. It's starting to break down a few of the, the distribution channels or the ICPs that I would have. It will kind of give me the market, the market size, the competitive landscape. By the way, this is one prompt and it gives me all this. Gives me the competitor and market landscape. It starts breaking down my position versus my competitors. So where do I win, or where could I win against the competitors that exist today? Industry trends. So what are the current industry trends that I should know about? Is the market growing? Are there people that are converting? Because in the PAX market, things are on-prem a lot. So is it moving to more of a cloud base? I know that kind of sounds old school, but healthcare is really, really behind in a lot of ways. What are the challenges and opportunities with the industry? Pricing insights. So it goes through and it gives me like this full report with all the sources and everything. And I'm like, okay, so this is amazing. So now I know that there's enough to go after, who I'm going after, what the TAM is, et cetera. So then what I do is I've got, actually let me move this out here real quick. So then what I have is I have a couple of GPTs that I use. So we have built GPTs internally for things like, for example, we've built GPTs to help us fill out procurement forms or other things to really help with workflows. I have a few GPTs, one of which is building out a go-to-market strategy, like a full end-to-end strategy, and it goes through these 12 steps. So what I did was inside of the same thread, I called in that go-to-market GPT and said, okay, I want to build out a full now you have all the analysis of the market and the TAM. Now I want you to build me out a go-to-market. How would I go to market with this product? So it breaks down just like I said, breaks down the product description. It will give you your ICP breakdown. So again, I see a lot of companies that don't even really understand their ICP or personas really, really well. You really don't have a reason not to know that now, because you can get it very easily through, one of these LLMs or tools that you have with AI. So it breaks down my ICP. It tells me what are their pain points. So as I mentioned, there's hospitals, there's image centers, teleradiology providers. So it'll break down their pain points, their goals and motivations. What are their behavioral attributes, whether technographic. So now I'm getting an understanding of who is it that I should be marketing to, what's the size, who is it that I'm marketing to, and who are my buyer personas. So then it'll build those buyer personas out even more in depth for me. So here's a CIO who would be an enterprise decision maker, and here's all of their pain points and things. An image center owner, a teleradiology director, et cetera. So it's building me out personas. Then it's going to take those personas and information, and it's going to start building out my brand messaging. So what is my unique value proposition? How should I talk to each of these personas? And in this GPT, it actually will allow you to choose different types of frameworks that you can use. If there's one that you like, if you're a marketer or your marketing team likes one, you can choose whatever framework that you want to. It'll break down my sales messaging, because marketing messaging is different than sales messaging. So it'll break that down for me. By persona, by the way. So not just in general, but if you notice here, it'll break that sales messaging down by each one of the personas. So I know who it's more personalized, who I'm speaking to, and how my team should actually speak to them. It will give me some go-to-market motion options. So it will evaluate, how do I go after enterprise? Is this a PLG motion? Is this channels and partnerships? Do I do inbound? All those types of things. And then it will actually recommend what are the right motions that you should potentially do? And again, you can look at this and say, like, I should go with this, or I have some other ideas. And you can, again, interact with the GPT and kind of give it more information or things of that nature. So yeah, so it goes through all this. So I'm gonna scroll down to keep going, but ultimately it will go through, give you an execution plan. It will give you KPIs you should look at, different channels. How should I price it? What are the best ways to price? And it goes through all of this for you. So it is really just a full-fledged, go end-to-end go-to-market plan that you can then take and utilize and implement in a different way. So now that I've got that, what I did was I said, okay, let me get here. I said, okay, research the top 10 companies that I should reach out to that fit within this ICP. And once you find the company, I want to know who the contacts and contact information are. So with this, again, I use the deep research capability inside of ChatGPT. And then it tells me, okay, here's the top 10 US companies. Obviously you can do more. So it breaks them down who they are. It breaks down their volumes, their key decision makers, and contact information. Now, obviously, the contact information here is not going to be great, so you obviously need to enhance it with other things, and including, buying signals. You have no idea if they have buying signals, so that's no matter why your product is so good. But ultimately, you can start building your list out of either enterprise customers or long tail customers that you should really look to. Now, I will share. I will share one thing with you, which is kind of interesting. I'm going to flip over to what is called Convergence. So Convergence AI is kind of an agent. And I'll show you a couple, kind of show you a couple of these, but basically what it does is it will go out and you have templates and other things that you can actually go out and search for different things. So if you go here, what you'll notice is the key decision maker here is this Dr. Howard, but I don't have Dr. Howard's email address or information. What I can actually do is I can send an agent out to go look for that. And so what I did was I sent an agent out and using Convergence. It will go to places all over the internet, including Crunchbase or other things, and it comes back with the actual email address. So there are ways to find this. Obviously, this doesn't scale, but but ultimately this can kind of show you where this is headed and where this is going without even needing to, go build, a workflow. So this is an example. There's much more here, but we'll stop there and see if there's some other things I can showcase.
That's a lot right there, Jonathan. So I'm going to ask a few questions just to recenter, everybody, including me. So I'm going to role play the audience a bit. Look, one of the first questions folks would have probably just watching all this is, you mentioned that you have a custom GPT of some sort that helped you build this GTM strategy. Is that homegrown or is that something? Is it off the shelf?
Nope, it's homegrown. So this is it right here.
It's homegrown. Okay, got it. So, whatever you can share in terms of, we don't need the secret sauce, but how would somebody go about putting together one of these?
Yeah. So basically what you do is I'll show you real quick. So basically what you can do in ChatGPT is if you click on this Explore GPT button, you can go here and you can click create. And once you click create, it opens up kind of this configurator that you can either chat with. So you can tell ChatGPT what kind of GPT you want it to build, or you can go in and you can kind of build some things yourself, either way you want to. And then on this side, it allows you to preview the results. So what I did was, and I've got a few of them, as you can see over here. In this one, I basically built it. Here are the custom instructions. They're pretty long, but this probably took me maybe 2 or 3 hours to put together. And basically all this is doing is it's telling the GPT what it is that I want it to do, how to build a go-to-market strategy, what are the outputs that I'm looking for, et cetera. And so basically this would be how you would actually go and build one. You can build simple, you can build things that are very simple, or you can build things that are super complex. However you want. Like I said, one of our team members built one to just fill out, uploaded a template for our own internal procurement, for like vendor procurement, and then said, hey, I want you to be able to fill this out for me. Here are some things that you need to know. And now the GPT actually just fills out all the procurement forms for them. So it can be as simple as that, or it can be more complex.
Got it. But obviously, you had some point of reference or reference material for this particular GTM strategy
Yeah.
prompt, right? So got it.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. So it basically was just really built with experience that I had. And I think that's what's important is like a lot of people, if you're in go to market and stuff, you have a lot of domain expertise. Like you've been battle tested, you've tried different things, et cetera. And really what you saw in that GPT was really 20 years of experience kind of put together with some knowledge and things of that nature of either me learning over time or using kind of references that I know that work. And ultimately just creating a GPT that I know would be, something of value for not only myself, but others. So, yeah, so they're not complex to build. No coding is required. Just really, telling it what you want it to do and what outcomes you're looking for.
Yeah, so it's kind of like the new IP is all in that, literally that prompt building and then knowing how to put the right the high quality prompts together, right?
It really is. You're exactly right. It really is. And we talk a lot about prompting is really a skill that you need to learn, especially using AI, right? Because it's kind of just like your data is, it's garbage in, garbage out, right? And so the more you can learn how to do it and how to do it effectively, the better not outputs that you'll get from AI, but also the ability that you'll actually be able to, build these GPTs or build agents and other things. The prompting is a very, very important part of it.
Good. Okay, fair enough. So, and how is the quality of the output, or do you find that you still need to go review and tweak it? And there's a process, I'm assuming there, right?
Yeah. So I would say a couple things. So one is depending upon what it is specifically doing. If it is just outputting simple things like content creation or document creation and things like that, I would say you're more than likely 95% there. You just want to kind of give it a good read and make sure that there's nothing missing or you want to edit anything. When it gets to things like what I'm showing here, which is I actually have it build a bottoms up plan where it can actually go and say, hey, if I've got a goal of 2 million, build me a bottoms up with a team design, the number of leads I need, all the things. And so when it starts getting into data analysis or building out these types of plans, I'd probably say you're probably more around 75%. You want to double check things. Number one, to make sure that the data itself is correct, just like you would if you were doing your own analysis. And number two, in a planning scenario like this, making sure that it aligns with what you want to do from a go-to-market strategy and what makes the most sense. And so, so I would say, but ultimately it's going to save you more time doing those, having this do your first draft than it would, you putting it all together or pulling a team together to try to do it yourself or try to do it over weeks or months.
Right. So I'm sure, Jonathan, you constantly have lots of opportunities to use, right, AI in different processes, different things. So my next couple of questions are really around impact metrics that you care about, whether it's pipeline, conversion rate, cost savings, right, productivity. Is there any framework you tend to use in making decisions around, hey, this is where I want to put your AI to work, and this is where I'm not ready yet?
Yeah. So I think there's two elements. So one is I don't think the impact metrics are any different for the majority of cases than they would be for any other go-to-market. So if you use the framework, I use the framework from revenue architecture, which is your bow tie, which you may have heard of. So there's kind of 6 models that govern growth. The bow tie is your data model, and so as I'm looking for metrics, it's really I'm looking at the same things that any go-to-market leader would, and how can I help improve those, whether it's volume or conversion rate or time or any of those things. So I don't think that there's like this new a bunch of new metrics that you really have to look at. It's really, AI is just a part to help you improve those metrics. And I think that's number one. As I was mentioning, what outcome do you want AI to own in your process? The second one that would be more AI related, because I think the challenge that people have is, how do I quantify the ROI? And what we have done and what you see a lot of is people saying, well, this is going to be a cost, I'm going to eliminate a bunch of costs because I'm going to eliminate people, or I'm going to eliminate, whether that's outsource, BPOs or internal people, et cetera. But I don't know 100%. And in fact, I would say that we aren't really 100% there yet to start thinking about cost reduction in a lot of places. There are a few places you could look at it, but I think in general, 90-95%, we're not ready for cost. So then, okay, if I can't take cost out just yet, where is it that I focus and how do I do it? And so what we've looked at is this metric, and I've actually got a calculator. Actually, let me share. So I built this. Let me share real quick. So I built this with a software called Lovable. I don't know if it's coming up or not, but ultimately, can you see it, Mani, or is it no? Can you see it?
Not yet, but
okay, no problem.
Yeah, you can keep talking.
I'll keep going. Yeah. So basically, what it is it's called hourly effective rate, and so hourly effective rate is actually saying, okay, how much revenue or how much do you actually get from someone by doing some sort of task or workflow? How long does it actually take before AI? And then how long does it take after AI? And you can basically have how much volume do you have? And you can kind of calculate an ROI, because where the biggest, and then you can do this for your team too. So here's I can add workflows, and then I can kind of showcase my ROI projection over time. And what does that compounding value look like? So basically the reason I say that is because the biggest place that I find that you get value is reducing what I call drag. So with all of this operational debt and things, there's so much drag that we've put in go-to-market that really takes a lot of time from people. I mean, just think about sales, right? 70% of their time is not in front of a customer, which really their comp is based upon closing deals, and you want them in front of customers because that's what their talent is. That's why you hired them. But really they're doing admin, or they're doing research, or they're doing all these things. All of that is drag. It's taking time away from what they really should be doing. And so I focus on how can I basically eliminate that drag, whether it's sales, marketing, onboarding, et cetera. And then how much more revenue can I produce from being able to eliminate that drag versus how much cost can I actually take out of the business? And so I think that is kind of an approach to be able to showcase, to finance or whoever you have to go to, like how would I improve, my revenue, or how would I improve my efficiencies in ROI from AI?
Yeah. Wow. So I know we have a whole bunch more questions to go through. So I'm trying to pack in what we can today. But Jonathan, we may have to ask you to come back because there's so much goodness
here.
Here.
Yeah, happy to.
Okay. All right. So let's keep going. So I think we talked about metrics. We talked about drag. We talked about, how you got to do, as you said, the hourly effective rate. Somebody's being paid X, but they're delivering productivity at the rate Y, right? Far greater than X. Right? They get a lot more value for every hour of their time.
100%.
So I think, So the people with the domain experience who can do a lot with less time, I mean, they're more valuable now, right? With AI. Now let's talk about, because we haven't talked about this, AI platforms, tech tools, confusion. How do you think about the categories? Like, what does the new AIxGTM tech stack look like? What are some essential pieces versus the traditional stack versus the new stack? How do you think about that?
Yeah. So basically, what's interesting about this is I've kind of looked at the go-to-market stack or the modern a little bit probably differently. So typically, you said, okay, previously you had a MarTech stack, a sales tech stack, all those things. I really look at it holistically and say, okay, again, if I've mapped my buyer journey and my seller journey, where are the areas that I want to have a human in the loop? So when you think about a human in the loop, I think about a human is reviewing something before AI helps you execute that. So there are places that you put that. So think of like sales messaging or battle card creation, or, a signal based. So you get a signal, you don't just have AI doesn't just go out and do it for you. The human reviews and says, is that a signal that I actually now want to build a sequence out on, or I want to reach out to, right? So these are all kind of these human in the loop type tools. Then there's human on the loop. And what human on the loop means is that AI is executing and you as a human are monitoring exceptions. So think of if you build workflows. So you have these workflows that, a lead comes in, OpenAI or something goes out and researches, it gives you a bunch of information about the company and the persona, and then it sends that into, a Slack message or a Teams message to prepare your sales team or your BDR or whoever prior to having a call, right? AI, that's really kind of an automation plus AI, and that's kind of executing something based upon a workflow, and you would just monitor and make sure that there's no issues with that. And then as part of human on the loop, there's also agents. And I showed you one like convergence, which is actually going out and doing a multi-step process. ChatGPT deep research, which I also showed you for some of that research, is also, it's AI is going out and execute, and I'm just monitoring how it's doing. And then the third one, which is not as prevalent today, but will be more and more, is these agent to agent or agent to human interactions. And this is kind of where things are going. And I'll give an example of, OneMind is an example where it's really an agent to human interaction. And we've seen these chatbots, right? We've seen kind of these Gen AI chatbots and things like that on websites. These are kind of, if you've got an agent powering it, then it can be an agent. So I look at it, instead of looking at it as a silo, like, oh, my go-to-market needs, I can use all of those categories across my entire go-to-market stack. So no more is it, I need a specific stack for marketing potentially, specific stack for sales. That will still exist, but I think over time, what happens is that percentage that's unique to those roles gets smaller and smaller in your tech stack, because now you have these other types of AI and tech that are actually more horizontal in nature and can do more for you across your entire go-to-market. So that's kind of the way that I look at it. I know that's probably very different, but I think that's the way we have to start thinking about it, because we have tech bloat. Let's be honest. There's tech bloat. Got a lot of tech that people don't use or adopt and things of that nature. And so, how do you think about this more holistically? I think is kind of my point of view on this.
No, I think you're right, because even the way we think about it too, right? It's all around thinking of the end-to-end process. It's about workflows. I mean, it's a different way of thinking about it than the traditional, here is a system of record for marketing. Here's another one for sales, another one for customer success. So I think you're right. I mean, the whole world is kind of topsy-turning. So the categorizing these new tools is pretty challenging in that sense, right? Because a bunch of tools do a bunch of different things and overlappy, and people, so few people break out of the noise, but many of us are kind of caught in that the shifting world, if you will. So I agree with that.
And unfortunately, I don't think and with AI today, right? As quick as these tools are coming off the shelf, I don't think this slows down in the immediate future. So I think it's just something that's going to continue to be confusing. One of the things I tell a lot of people is, you should, if you're curious enough, not only should you be experimenting and playing, but you should at least be demoing a tool, 1 to 2 tools a week, just to kind of see what's out there, understand your problems, and then, just go demo a few tools. People will give you demos and see what's out there, see how things are evolving, so you can keep up with them.
Because, and the other thing is, there's a whole shifting world of, I think you kind of touched upon it, the agent builders and the agentic frameworks, and knowing, who's going to rise above the noise, and, who are the ones people are building on. And I think a lot of decisions to be made, right, for enterprises and companies, and buyers around that. So
absolutely, 100%.
Yeah. So now the question is, I know we have about 7 minutes here, so I'm going to try to zoom through some few key questions so we can start to wrap up. What the typical challenges that you're seeing, because I know you have a lot of perspective on that, and people are adopting AI for GTM. What's getting in the way? Like if you go to SMB, mid-market, enterprise, what's getting in the way?
Yeah. So really what's interesting about this question is it's really not the technology that's getting in the way. When I have talent challenges with, what I've seen both internally and also with, all the, people that I talk to, whether it's CROs or founders, et cetera, the first thing and the biggest challenge is people. And so what I mean by that is there's a few things. One is talent. So we just talked about it. Do they know how to prompt? Do they know how to use AI? Do they know how to do these things? So there's this enablement and training and thing that has to happen. You have to upskill your teams. And if you're not doing that, then it's really hard. You'll lack the adoption that you need, which is the other thing. If you don't have the enablement, you don't have the adoption, then it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter what tool you use. And then there's this kind of, this kind of company culture and fear. Just like I mentioned, most people are looking at it from well, I'm going to use AI to cut costs. Well, when you say that, me as a person who's employed, I'm like, okay, well, does that mean my role is up for grabs now and AI is going to take it? And so there's kind of this hesitancy and fear to not use it, to use it. And I think ultimately, again, I think we're far away from replacing people. This is an ability to augment and help them be more efficient, eliminate the drag, be more productive, be quicker at everything that they do. So I think people is like the number one thing. The second thing is data. It needs quality data that's not in silos and that's readily available. If you look internally at your CRM or your other data, most people are not ready for this on a grand scale. So again, as I was mentioning earlier, you have to pick your spots. What outcomes do I want to AI to own, and where am I ready for AI to own that? Because I have the data, I have the processes down, and processes is the third. Do I have a good foundational process that I know works and that's documented and all those things? Because AI is not like this magic wand. You don't just like put it in somewhere and it just automatically comes out with all these, great and solves all your problems. You actually have to train it just as you would an employee. You have to think of it as like a digital teammate, and you have to train it just like that way. Because unless you train it, it doesn't know. It's just going to make decisions based upon what it thinks is best. And a lot of times those decisions could be wrong. So really, I think those are the three things that I see challenges: is people, data, process.
Wonderful. And I think you already addressed my next question, which was about misconceptions around AI that we want to debunk. I think you touched upon that. Let's just get to the two final questions. We'll wrap. One is what do you see as the future of AI in terms of GTM, transforming GTM in the next 6, 12, 24 months? And then the last question was, what advice do you have for people just starting out?
Sure. So I think what we'll see this year, so let's just, we'll say we're almost 6 months to the end of the year. So let's say this year is more and more people will start. I mean, you see this rise of what you call the go-to-market engineer, right? And really what's happening is people are just building workflows, and embedded in those workflows are, AI. So maybe it's just an AI, like OpenAI, maybe it's an agent or something like that, but really it's just a workflow. And you mentioned this, like thinking about the workflow. I think more and more of that starts to happen and take hold. So I think these AI kind of tactical go-to-market workflows will have AI in it. I think secondly, you're kind of seeing this is go-to-market orgs are hiring these AI innovation leaders. So OpenAI did this, Vanta did this, and you're seeing kind of these more people that are hiring someone to think about AI and how they can implement it across go-to-market, because there's just so much waste and so much inefficiency there. So I think this year is going to be about those things, tactical, and then do I have someone that can own this or think about this? In the 12-month time frame, I think that you'll start seeing more and more agents and orchestration. And what I mean by that is right now, agents are not difficult to build. And a lot of times there's a lot of good tools that you can build that, but then to actually interact with each other or do things across your stack or your company, that's hard. And now you're seeing like Anthropic release their MCP protocol. In that protocol, you're seeing Google do agent to agent. So you're kind of starting to see that this is a problem that people are trying to solve, to allow agents to orchestrate end-to-end workflows and multiple agents to be there. So I think what you'll see is you'll see more of that happening next year, where people are deploying agents more across their go-to-market stack. And also I think what that means is you'll see more modular go-to-market tech stacks. So just as we talked about, I mentioned, you'll see less and less of the siloed marketing, sales, customer success, and more of this kind of agentic orchestration, or what can I replace with AI and with agents. And then I think if I were to look at it even further, you'll then have these agents doing a lot of things on their own. You go to sleep, they research your entire account list, they come up with all the things that you should do, how to do it, and then when you wake up, you get your coffee and you come to your workstation or wherever it is, and you have your full day plan, what you need to do, how to do it, and you can even have agents go execute it for you. So I do see that being kind of in that. I mean, it could be in that 24-month. I mean, the way the technology is going, and so. The advice I would have is the following. So have someone that's curious and kind of owns this for your go-to-market. So as I mentioned, if you don't have the budget to hire someone specifically, get someone and elevate them as a SME. or put them in place to kind of say, hey, I want you to think about, and this is what we did internally for myself. So I have someone that is building out or has built out and continues to build out our automation and AI roadmap for go-to-market. Where are key friction points? What should we do? Go ahead.
No, I was curious. Like, what do you call this person? What's their role? What's their title? Who are they?
Yeah, so it's kind of funny. He's kind of like a go-to-market engineer, but he's got a little background. He's curious about computer science. He's got a computer science background too. So he's like a Swiss kind of army knife, if you will. So I think it's kind of hard. He's very interesting, and we really love having him. But I don't think
they got to have a business mind, right? Business mindset,
business mindset, but with some, yeah. So you got to understand go-to-market. You got to have a business strategy, and then you got to have some tech chops. I'm not saying you can go build. You have to have a computer science or ML because you have an engineering team where you can hire probably contractors to help you with that. But you've got to have, and the tools will get easier to build these things. But you've got to have some tech chops about you and some interest there. So it's business plus tech, I think.
Got it. And then last question, sorry, was company getting started, AIxGTM, where should they start?
Yeah. So I think one is have someone that can own this and help you build out the roadmap. Two is don't start with the sexiest use cases. Don't say I need to go drive 1 million leads, and so I'm just going to throw a bunch of outbound SDRs at it. Think about what is driving the most friction and drag and has some really good low effort but high impact. Think about making sure that you have cross-functional alignment. I mean, you can't just have AI in silos because you want to make sure that you've got that. And then I would say, make sure that you're teaching prompting and iterating. And so there's many ways to do that. There's a lot of free resources out there. AI Business Network is a resource out there. So there's a lot of ways that you can help your teams. But ultimately I say, be curious, experiment, and then just, really just get started. That's how I did, years ago. And now, I've just been continuing to do it every day, every week to learn. And I think that's the best way to do it. So those would be my advice to get started.
Thank you, Jonathan. Amazing chat. So I'm going to just put up the final slide so people know how to get in touch with us. So yeah, coming right up, but please, if you want to let people know.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah. So you can find me on LinkedIn, Jonathan Moss. Also, email address is j@aibusinessnetwork.ai. That's the one you'll probably reach me at. Obviously, I don't know that there's many people in urgent care here, but ultimately, if you are, you can reach out to me at AIxGTM Health as well. But yeah, as Mike said, I'm talking about this all the time in Pavilion, or happy to chat. We chat outside of Pavilion all the time. And I post things just like today. I posted about the AI readiness, digital interactive survey that we put together to help people understand if they are ready or not ready and what can they do about it. So yeah, feel free to follow me or reach out. Happy to chat.
Thanks, Jonathan. We had a couple of questions come in. I guess we can respond through LinkedIn to those because that was posted on LinkedIn. But thank you, folks, for the questions. And thank you, everyone. This concludes episode 9 of our AIxGTM Talk series. Bye for now.